and welcome. This is the Market Wrap. I am Agam Vakil. The benchmark indices continue to soar and more strength to the Nifty, which has gained as much as 60 points again. It's closed at 11,450 and we've seen strength in some of the usual names. In fact, ONGC, of course, is not one of those, but we have seen that right at the top of the Nifty gainer, but that's followed by Reliance Industries, Cipla and Bharti Infratel advancing, Bajaj Finance continuing to show tremendous strength, in fact, up at around 2,800 mark. HUL also continuing to advance. And on the losing end, Lupin were reacting to earnings. Maruti Suzuki, along with HPCL and BPCL, also down. Of course, awaiting earnings there. And we have Grasim Industries and Bajaj Auto also looking at a little bit of weakness. In the broader markets, fairly evenly poised between gainers and losers on the NSE 500. Reliance Communications up 14%, followed by Hathway Cable, HEG, both gaining over 8% in trade. Inox Leisure is also up 7%, followed by Adani Power and Sterlite Technologies. On the losing end, weakness in Greenply Industries. Edelweiss Financial, it's been a strong, steady quarter, but it's still wilted down under pressure, possibly, perhaps profit-taking coming through. And Nesco, Indico Remedies and Kitex Garments also declining trade. Avanti Feeds continues to show more weakness. That's also down around 5.6%. But what are the underlying trends here when it comes to the markets? We get in our markets editor, Neeraj Shah, to join us. Neeraj Shah, so what we've seen in today's job trade is some usual names like Reliance, HUL and Bajaj Finance advancing, but also something like an ONGC and Bharti Infratel also. So it's been a little bit of a mix now when it comes to the gainers.
Yes, a little bit of a mix coming to gainers and fair bit of volume activity, Agam. The turnover as we shut shop on the FNO side, remember it's not the weekly Bank Nifty weekly expiry, yes. And we're nudging that 10 lakh crore mark. Right. So I don't know if it's got to do with the positions that are being built in the Nifty Bank. Navneet was just making that point that the last 2 or 3 sessions, positions on the OI on the Nifty Bank, and you would have a better sense here too, has been building up. So I don't know if that's there, but flurry of activity on the FNO side for sure, and large portion of that would be the index, I would presume. So maybe that is one interesting to watch out for. The fact that the Nifty Bank has closed for the first time about 28,000. Right. It's always gone up, but stayed a shut shop about 28,000. Fairly heartening that banks are participating in this way. And interesting to see what happens to the broader end of the spectrum, because one clear thing that's happened in the last few days after the policy is that if a company's come out with a good set of numbers, the rewards have continued for 2 or 3 days in a row. We've seen that happening with VIP 2 or 3 days in a row now. The stock is doing well. Vinati Organics today may have been flattish, but last 3 days doing very well. So good news are getting rewarded, and which is actually a fairly heartening sign. The world markets were quiet. We won't have another Tesla in the US markets today, so maybe not too many positive news from there. Right, yes. But no bad news is also good news, I guess.
Absolutely. So, well, there you have it.
But the FNO positions, Agam, I mean, very interesting that the volumes have picked up so much.
Again, you know, Neeraj, over the previous few days, we were discussing that there's been more puts, and the question remained whether or not that was a hedge or that was speculative. And it appears with the move the Nifty has made, that was clearly a hedging position at this point in time. And we're seeing that play out today as well. So we're going to have to watch. Naturally, there is going to be an increase in the Nifty put call ratio, considering the Nifty has advanced by another 60 points. So we'll just have to wait out for the Bhav copy to come through. But I suspect the Nifty put call ratio will certainly have increased as we move in. And perhaps that will be well evident in tomorrow's trade as well.
Let's wait and watch. Thanks, Agam.
Thank you, Neeraj, for joining us and giving us a perspective. But what are our technical analysts telling us about these levels that we need to keep an eye on the Nifty? This is what they're saying. Listen in.
In spite of this minor correction, the trend for the market has not changed. The broader markets, the market breadth continues to remain on the positive side. Yes, there has been a stock-specific volatility, but that is mainly due to the event. Now, as far as Nifty Bank Index goes, 27,300 to 350 range is a very crucial support for the index. So I don't think that markets would the Nifty Bank Index would go much below that level. So in case if we get some minor dip in tomorrow morning around 27,400 or 27,350, I think that should be a buying opportunity again in the index, and probably we should see higher levels around 28,000 very soon. So the trend for the markets have not changed. So this dip in the Nifty Bank Index, or if we get minor dip in Nifty, that should be used as a buying opportunity.
Overall, the trend is being intact. It's in the bullish ways because the previous swing high, it has not been broken. So till it doesn't break, the trend would be up. So like 11,171, if I'm not mistaken, that was an all-time high. So till that level has not been broken, so every dip can be used for a buying purpose. But if someone has a very short-term view, say for a couple of days session, then 11,370, 11,360 would be the level to watch out on a closely basis. So that would be as a support. I'm looking for the momentum to continue. If that thing broken, then we might see a 100 and 150 points of correction more.
Well, the up move in the near term or the mid term is intact. This is what our technical analysts are telling us. But we did have two very important earnings come through, both from the pharmaceutical space. And first one is the Lupin, followed by Cipla. And we have Darshan Mehta who's joining us to take us through the earnings. Darshan, let's start off with Lupin. How were the numbers?
So, extremely weak set of numbers. I think the US markets did them in. We were anticipating close to $203 million of US sales to come in. They've done in just $168 million. So that's a big drop that has come in on the US market. So even if you're looking at it, a 26% year-on-year drop on the US market, 20% quarter-on-quarter. So that is something that impacted the top line also. So 3,800 crores of 3,850 crores of top line that came in versus our estimate of 4,100 crores. Profit actually coming in close to half of what we were anticipating. So 350 crores was the estimate. It's coming at 202 crores. And EBITDA also almost more than 200 crores lower than what was anticipated. So 13.7% was the EBITDA margin compared to 18.2% margin that came in. Obviously, costs were much higher. The cost of raw material was much higher. The tax that they paid this time around was much higher at 47% versus 21% last time around. Despite other income being much higher, they actually came out with a weak set of numbers. So clearly, pricing pressure is there in the US markets, and overall, totally disappointed. Very weak set of numbers, Agam, coming in from Lupin.
Right, but what about Cipla?
Yeah, Cipla, more details have not come in. I just have the basic numbers as of now. So they've done a top line of 3,900 crores versus an estimate of 4,000 crores. So that's pretty much in line that what we were anticipating. The profit has come in much higher, 450 crores versus 384 crores last time around, and EBITDA margins at 18.4% versus 19.1%, in line with what we were anticipating. Other income is slightly higher, 170 crores versus 150 crores, but that actually includes a one-off in terms of, they sold some stake in one of the companies in US, and that's what that was there. So despite an official lower income, they've come out with a decent set of numbers. We'll try to get in more details in terms of what they did, but as of now, Cipla doesn't look bad. It's an inline set of numbers.
All right, Darshan, thank you for joining us and giving us those details. And with that, we're going to keep an eye on more earnings coming through, but that's a wrap on the markets with lots more lined up, so stay tuned in the Bloomberg.